Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's so good to see you again.
It's great to see you.
You just got back from a little trip.
We did.
Did
we
you
went,
have?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we went to Disney and we had a great time.
So I think there's probably a lot of listeners out there that are just kind of wondering what Disney's like right now. Here I said we're going to jump straight into the topic, but I do think that a lot of people are interested thinking about what does that mean for them planning going forward. So just give us a little, what was Disney like?
The parks are at 35% capacity right now, and it was fantastic, actually. There are some things they're doing that I hope they keep because they were so good. And if you've been to Disney before, you know, usually, for instance, if you stay on property and you travel in the buses, you are herded onto those buses. Like all the seats fill up, and then they fill up the aisle, and you're just surrounded by people. Well, not now. I mean, the buses are not, every seat on the bus is not full. There are seats that can't be used. There are dividers between it. The parks, they don't have fast passes. So that is something you have to learn how to not stand in line all day. Mm-hmm. And I don't like to stand in line. So that worked out really well for us to have the inside scoop on which rides to do and when to go and that kind of thing, so we didn't have to stand in line. Quick service is awesome now, quick service, because you order it on your phone. You don't go in, you don't stand in lines. And then they text you when it's ready, and you go and pick it up at a particular counter, and then you walk back out. I mean, they're doing a lot of things that are really nice that I hope stick.
Okay, so, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, it doesn't surprise me that Disney's figured out how to do it right. But, well, I can't wait to talk to you more about this because Disney is one of my favorite places too. And I always wondered what it was going to be like in this scenario. So
you do wear a mask all day. They do have places where you could have, I think they call it a relaxation moment or something, where you could take your mask off. But we never even went to any of those because we had masks that worked well for us. We also brought extra masks, so we would change them out in the afternoon. And so it was good.
Awesome.
It was really good.
Well, I'm glad to have you back again.
I know, and you had a birthday since we last met.
I did. I had my 45th birthday. And thanks to you, I had actually a super special day. I'm actually going to leave maybe that for another podcast because you did something super special that I would say puts it on my best birthday ever list. Yay! I know. But so I do want to share about that because it kind of spoke into me as you went through it, but we're going to go ahead and hit that another day when we have a little more time. So the topic I'm bringing today, it was something that inspired me from another podcast I listened to, and there was a question on that podcast was, what bumper sticker most resonates with you? And it was kind of a round table, so the different guests at the table were picking a bumper sticker that they feel like resonates with them. So one of the bumper stickers they talked about, and I've seen it before, and I've always been like, yes, when I read it, it says, what someone else thinks of you is none of your business. Okay. So basically, the bumper sticker is saying, it matters what you think of you. It matters, and in my mind, it matters what the Lord thinks of me. But what other people around me, I shouldn't focus on that. And in my regular brain, I'm like, yes, that's absolutely true. I want to remember that. But to tell you the honest truth, it totally matters to me what other people think of me. I mean, I wish I could say it doesn't, but yet I still find in times when someone is not fond of me, or someone has an opinion of me, I want to say I could just brush it off my shoulders, but gosh darn it, it really does bother me. Yeah. So I wanted to get on that topic because although I have made peace with particular people, maybe a family member that I have conflict with, or people that I'm close to, overall, I struggle to make peace with the fact that it doesn't matter out in the world what people think of me. So I wanted to give bring that bumper sticker to you and kind of What does it make you think of when you hear that bumper sticker?
I used to care a lot more what people, let me back up, what I thought people thought of me. Because the truth is, a lot of times we create these stories in our head that somebody doesn't like me, or somebody's mad at me, or I offended somebody, and you haven't. I know one time, and I'm trying to remember the scenario, I thought I had made Ken so mad about something I had done or said. This was years ago, and I spent days stewing over it and going back over it in my head and like beating myself up for it. And finally I brought it up to him, and he had no idea what I was talking about because it wasn't even on his radar. But I do think so often we think we know what other people think, and that's a dangerous thing to do because you start creating stories in your head, and it holds you back from stepping out and doing what you feel like you need to do.
Yeah, I actually just had a conflict, a conflict I created, okay, with someone else not very long ago that I felt like I had sent a few text messages and made a few phone calls that were never reciprocated. And so in my mind, I thought, did I offend her? And then I started going through any possible scenario that I could have offended her, which in all reality, you can always pull something. The way you, like, a failure to show up for someone in one way or another. Like, I can pull them around the clock because I always could disappoint somebody, really, you know, right. with time management that I choose, with things I say I'm going to do, with places I need to be on time, areas I'm not showing up, priorities that I set that are different than someone else's. So I then created a story of why this person had not contacted me back. And I stewed on it for a while. Like, it really bothered me. I was trying to figure out how I was going to fix it. The story just got bigger and bigger. Like, it created a life of its own. And finally, there was a day that I called this person again, and they answered. And then we ended up talking for like an hour about all the struggles, the conflict that they're dealing with right now. And really, I'm not a priority to them, and nor should I have been.
Right.
And it was not at all around the story that I had created in my brain. The funny thing is, I know better. I do know better. Like, this is one thing I coach other people about, not creating stories in our brain. But yet there's still this human nature that comes back to me that I was unable to step out of that situation. I made it about me. Yeah, so
I don't remember if I read this somewhere. I heard it somewhere, though. And it said, people think about you far less than you think they do because they're thinking about themselves.
Right.
And I used to be so intimidated to walk into a room of people I didn't know. I felt like they were judging me. If somebody looked at me, I was like, oh, they don't think I measure up. They don't think I should be here. Whatever. And I hated that feeling. And so when I started trying to overcome that fear, because I did travel by myself a lot. I would go to conferences by myself, and I'd have to sit at a table with people I didn't know, walk up to a group of people at a table and say, is anybody sitting here? And just get out of that place where I just wanted to leave and not be there. I started to realize people aren't thinking bad things about you. Like, they're not even thinking about you at all. And maybe that's comforting. Maybe it makes somebody feel like, oh no, I want people to think about me all the time. But it's just true. Like, people don't think about you as much as you think they do.
No, you know those times when you obsess about, or I'm gonna say myself, because I don't know if you do this, but maybe to a certain event, something I'm gonna wear, and I obsess about it, and I obsess about it, and I obsess about it, like, and then I end up making my choice, and I go, and honestly, when I come back, I've obsessed about it. You've probably not even noticed what I'm wearing, And if you said, well, what did I wear? I didn't pay attention. And you may have done the very same thing, like sat around and worried about how you look in it. Do you look fat? Do you look frumpy? I don't know.
Yeah.
It really is crazy how we do that to ourselves. And so when I realized after getting off the phone with this friend that I had created this scenario, it sucked a lot of my energy to figure out how I was going to fix something that didn't even exist.
Yes.
I mean, listen, I'm really bringing this to you. It's me like admitting like all these things that I'm trying to assist people not to do. Like I did it, and it was exhausting trying to figure out how to fix something that had not even been created because I was worrying about what she was thinking about me.
You know, I really did used to care a lot more about what people thought. And then a couple of years ago, I realized I'm not responsible to that person. I'm responsible to the Lord. And how I love people and how I pursue what He's created me to do. You know, I'm responsible to Him for my life. And I'm responsible to Him for how I raise my girls and for how I love my husband. Well, I'm not going to say other people's opinions or input don't matter. Like if you came up to me and said, Dee Dee, we need to talk about this thing you've been doing. I would listen to what you would have to say because I know that you have my best interest in mind and that you love me and you're seeing an area where I need to improve. One time somebody sent me a book called Approval Addiction. It showed up in the mail and she had written, I think you need to read this. And I was like, oh, what? Like it so took me back, but I so appreciated it because I knew she wasn't trying to be mean or put me down, but she was like, you're living your life to get approval from other people and you're addicted to that approval. And I appreciate that she did that because that had to be uncomfortable.
And think of how early that starts. Okay, like if you went back and was like, when was the earliest time that you remember somebody being disappointed in you? Okay, boom, like that need to have somebody approve. You could probably bring up scenarios with a coach or with a teacher or your parents when you were young. Then let's get into the time when you were planning a wedding and trying to get the acceptance of your in-laws and your parents. And then holy cow, when you have your first child, everybody has an opinion on how you're supposed to raise that child. I mean, it goes across the board. And you're fighting the desire to feel, especially with new motherhood. Think about that. Because you want to feel like you're doing it right. And you're seeking, and the little person can't really tell you. So you're only fighting against the stories that you're hearing from other people and what your gut instinct is. And you certainly hate to feel like if you make a choice that's different than someone else, a sense of disapproval.
Well, especially if you make a choice that's different from somebody else who's very passionate about their decision.
Yes.
And that is one thing that I think we need to accept is that we are responsible to the Lord for the way that we live and to the people that we're responsible for. I think there is a danger in saying, I don't care what anybody thinks, because you better care. Because you better be loving on them in a certain way that they're feeling loved. And if they're not feeling loved and cared for, or if somebody's pointing out a behavior or an attribute that you're exhibiting that is not beneficial and it's not kind and it's not loving, you better be willing to change that.
Well, you and I have had a conversation when it comes down to, we've had some people as they continue to mature, they get more and more of the, I don't really care what other people think. I don't really care what other people think. But it comes to the point where I can say whatever I want and I don't care if it hurts someone's feelings.
Yeah, man.
And And you
So
and I
sad.
clearly said, like, we're gonna be calling each other out on that because that is not okay. It's exactly what you're talking about. There's this line that you cross from I'm going to look at myself and stand in who I am and who God says I am, and that's a good place to be. So I can't let the outside world consistently tell me who I am. But you get past the point of being like, and I'm going to tell the rest of you all the time what I think, and it doesn't matter if it hurts your feelings because I'm confident in what I am.
Right.
So that's like stepping over on the other side of the bumper sticker.
Yes. It is. And there's a lot of pride that plays into that. I think there's a lot of insecurity that plays into that as well. When you start to become bullying in your views, you have to ask yourself, why do you care so much if somebody else believes that or not? I'm really into alternative health options. I mean, some people would hear that we go to a chiropractor and think that's way out. Some people would hear we go to a chiropractor and think, well, that's step one, like not a big deal. I am convicted in what I believe in regards to the fact that the body is incredibly made and it wants to heal itself. If it's given the right environment and opportunity, the body wants to heal itself. And so what does it require to be able to begin that healing process? I know some people who are very much against that are dear to me and I love them. That's not a topic we talk about. We don't talk about supplements that I take or cleanses that I do or that I go to the chiropractor, even though I'm going today. Like, it's an active part of my life, but I don't talk about that with them because they don't believe in it. In fact, they dismiss it. And I don't try to make them believe that way either. But we can have a ton of conversations on a million other topics,
Right, and you're not offended with the fact that they don't believe in it. It has nothing to do, you have not created a story around it that means that somebody thinks you're stupid or foolish or has...
Well, okay, so they do
think
that it's foolish to do it. And that, because it's like hocus pocus or snake oil or whatever, I can still love that person.
Yes.
Even though they think it's stupid that I do that. But it doesn't mean I have to not do that because I have seen value in it and I continue to research it. So I think you have to become very confident in your beliefs, and the more confident you are, the less you have to press those beliefs on somebody else. And you can see that person as being their own person who makes their own decisions, and I don't think anybody intentionally wants to make a bad decision, like to do something that's harmful. We just have different ways about going about life. And when you're confident in this is what I believe and this is what I think and this is who I'm striving to be, then you can be at peace with that.
So the more confident you get in who you are, you're able to not worry about what other people are viewing around you as their opinions of the things you do and who you are.
Mm-hmm. Here's a trick I do. So if I go into a situation where I'm walking up to a group of people or like a group of ladies that are really put together or something like that, and you start to have that insecurity, instead of focusing on me and what do they think about me, do they think about it? Because all those things start going through your head. Ask yourself, how can I bring value to this conversation? How can I love on somebody in this group really well right now? How can I listen really well to what somebody else is meaning, even if it's not what they're saying? Because a lot of times people mean things that they aren't saying. Does that make sense? Like, there's meaning behind.
Mm-hmm.
behind it that's not coming out. And as soon as you switch and you make it about the person that you're showing up for, and stop making it about yourself, all that'll go away, and you can start to really engage and meet new people, or have a really fun friendship, have a really fun conversation. So that's one of the little tricks I do in my head when those doubts and things pop up.
And then you get to have authentic conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's where I struggle most a lot of times when I get around people that I don't necessarily know. I hate just small talk that is surface level. Like, I'd rather dig into the meat of having like authentic, true conversation. So,
well, and you can do that by saying, I'm going to find out one really cool thing about this person. And you'll start to ask different questions instead of, so what's the weather like where you live? Or, did you have a nice holiday? Did you have a nice Christmas? Oh, COVID. Yeah. All of that goes away, and you start having more interesting conversations. Today's been kind of an odd day. We've had a lot of repair people here. Our heater went out, and then the Terminex guy was here to spray for ants. But the guy came to repair the heater, and what would have been just a pass-through conversation while he went up to my attic ended up being more of an inspirational conversation, I think, for him. After we talked, he was like, you know what? I think I'm going to take my grandkids to Disney World.
Okay.
Because it wasn't surface talk. I don't like that either, because I feel like you have an opportunity to talk with somebody. You have an opportunity to be with this one particular person in the world at this unique time. Like, take advantage of it.
So as far as what someone else thinks of you is none of your business, it's a great bumper sticker. But so if you're showing up authentically with people, then worrying about just giving them a piece of you and loving on them well will take away from the stories you've created on what you think somebody's thinking about you. And actually, the end of this, what somebody thinks of you is none of your business, that's not even really reality. That's just continuous, could be just fiction around you.
Yeah, I don't even know that I agree with that bumper sticker, though, because there are, like I said, what my husband thinks about me, what my kids think about me, that should matter to me, especially if they're like, Mom, you're not there for me. Mom, I need you, and you are not giving me the attention I need right now. Mom, you're not listening to me well. Or if my husband's like, all your time is going to the kids and to work, and you're not giving me enough time. If I'm like, no, I am doing exactly what I need to do, and I don't hear him say that, then, or I don't listen to that comment, I better care a lot if they bring something like that to me. And
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
So it's funny,
Yeah.
that's why this was so interesting to me, because I actually, on my run yesterday, I just couldn't stop thinking about this bumper sticker and what does that mean? Like, what does it mean? What does it mean to me? Like, I do kind of care, but should I care? What do I care about? Who do I care about that says what? Does it matter to me? I mean, I had this, I was running all these processes through my brain as I was thinking about it. But also, people that are my accountability partners in life, it matters what they think, because they love me and they're seeing me. And if they see me going a wrong direction, if they're not going to stop me from stepping in front of, a car, whatever, then... So,
or if you're a person who says, I don't care what you think, I'm accountable to myself and what I think I'm doing right or wrong, you have given them no space to speak into your life. Because why would you ever approach somebody who's like, I don't care what you say. It doesn't matter to me. No, we have people in our lives that instruct us and guide us and help us. But we also have people in our lives that will say things and act out to us out of their own hurts and pains and insecurities. And I think that's when you have to evaluate what's the intention behind that comment or what that person said. Like the book that was sent to me, she wasn't trying to put me down. She was trying to help me with an issue that she saw. Mm-hmm. But somebody who, makes fun of something about me or belittles it, I don't know where their heart is in it. But that is not something that I would allow to come in to change me. It is hard. Like, I feel like I'm saying it's easy. It's not easy. It is hard. Especially when people that are close to you make comments to other people about you.
Yes.
Ugh, that hurts.
So bad. Yeah.
Or people that have a low opinion of you for whatever reason. And you're like, yeah, but you don't really know me. But they think they do know you. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is frustrating, but you have to let it go.
Because it will consume you. Like I was, like earlier when I used that story that I created consumed me. And whether it is somebody that doesn't like you for some reason, that can also consume you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, to end this up, I thought that I didn't care what other people thought about me for the most part. But on my birthday, the friends that surrounded me gave the sweetest toast, one after another. And it filled my heart. Like, I can't even tell you that, like, I think to myself, like, I don't need someone to say to me that I'm valued or loved or talk about something that I've, any impression that I've made on their lives, but yet hearing it, like, lit me up. Like, it was part of what made that night so special. So, again, when we say we don't care what people think about us, on the other hand, like, we need to be encouraged. Like, I didn't even realize how much that kind of encouragement meant to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We were made to be in community. Mm-hmm. We were made to be in relationship. And if there's conflict there, you can't be in relationship with somebody, And so I was thinking about victim mentality and the blame game. And this kind of goes into it. Like, if you feel like somebody doesn't like you, then you can start to enter into that victim mentality. And I realized it goes all the way back to the very first relationships with Adam and Eve and God. And when they sinned against God, they were afraid that they were going to lose their relationship with him. And so they both acted out or stated that they had been a victim of being deceived by somebody else. Eve by the snake and Adam by Eve. And I was like, why? Why were they afraid? But they were afraid of breaking unity with God. And they saw the situation as someone doing something to them. And they couldn't help it. It was a natural defense somehow put in them. So think about this. Like, somehow they were designed that this was their default nature. Why is that? Well, they were wanting to preserve that relationship. They didn't want to break that relationship with each other. And so we were created to be in community and in relationship with each other. And we fear losing that person or that relationship. We fear being judged and not measuring up, which would lead to rejection. And sometimes you can try to shirk your responsibility and run away from it just to avoid the rejection. But that's actually what breaks the relationship, is running away from it. Because if they had turned and said, God, I'm sorry, we did this, I don't know how the story would have ended. But we see that in our own lives, where when we don't apologize and we try to run from the situation to protect ourselves, we end up breaking the relationship. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of goes back to this. When we start creating stories in our head of why somebody doesn't like us or caring too much what we think somebody thinks about us, we start behaving differently, which could break the relationship, which is the exact opposite of what we want to come out of the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So interesting that you brought this up, and I just had started writing about.
Well, we'll have to keep thinking about this, because I think that, I mean, even just that bumper sticker alone, that thought of it, and it really does stir up a lot of different feelings about how we relate to other people, how we see ourselves with comparison of what we think the world sees us, just in general. Like I got super deep on my run while I was thinking about that. So I love how this went so many different directions today, that it went to, I don't even like the bumper sticker, it doesn't match, because to ways that kind of thought process has impacted us, because I think that's the way we need to be looking at things to be able to truly address the way we feel about things and mm-hmm. who we are in the way we show up.
What you think somebody else is thinking in your efforts to preserve what you think is being lost ends up leading you to losing that particular thing that you're trying to preserve, that relationship.
Yeah, you end up causing the damage. The damage is caused
by you not owning it.
Thank you for joining us today. If you would like to listen to more of our podcast, go to our website, www.liveyourdesign.life, and go to the podcast area where you can find them on all different platforms. And if you'd like to learn more about our coaching business, you'll find all the information there. Thank you so much for joining us today.